Next, we're going to talk about the push-pull legs split. So this is, as the name says, a 3-day split in which you're doing all of your pushing on one day, all of your pulling on another, and then all of your leg training on the third. And you could do this either once per week or twice per week. So this is great because our muscles are meant to work together in this way. All right, there's a whole group of muscles that are working together anytime you are pushing, as I said, including your front delts. And then there's even bigger groups of muscles working together during any pulling. And then again, obviously we know your legs are supposed to work together. So this combines larger groups of muscles together than the last one. And these muscle groups are meant to work together in these kinetic chains. So this is an anatomically superior muscle grouping as compared to the last one. So that is something it has going for it. And when it comes to the frequency implications, you can either do this once per week or twice per week, as I said. So the frequency is already optimal there. It gives you more freedom to train every muscle group once per week, which is suboptimal, or twice per week, which is more optimal. Okay? Or you could do a mix. You could be training, for instance, all of your pushes and pulls twice per week, but legs only once per week, since training legs is no fun and no one wants to do it. So you have more freedom to do the important stuff twice and the lesser important stuff only once. So the freedom you have with frequency is something I like with this one. But what is optimal to do for this is a 6-day split, where you are doing a push day, a pull day, and a leg day, and then a different push day, a different pull day, and a different leg day. So when it comes to the rest periods between training, every muscle group is getting 72 hours between training, and that is an optimal rest period. So that's a good frequency for that reason, and then it gives you the ability to train each muscle group 2 different ways throughout the week. I love the push-pull leg split because of how it can be used to train specific movement patterns together, such as training certain types of pushes on certain days and certain types of pushes on another day, and certain types of pull on one day and certain types of pulls on a different day. So on the first push day, you could be doing incline bench press, and then on the second push day, you could be doing decline bench press. And then on the first pull day, you could be doing pull downs, and the second pull day, you could be doing horizontal pulls. All right, and who gives a fuck what you do on leg day? No one cares about it anyway. So the frequency is much more optimal for this one than the other two we have discussed in so many ways. Now when it comes to loading, this also allows for heavy loads, because even if you're doing it at the highest frequency of 6 days per week, as I said, every muscle gets 72 hours rest, which is how much rest they need even for heavy strength training. And if after using a heavy load, a certain muscle group needs more recovery time before performing a certain movement pattern again, if you get to that workout day and that muscle group is not ready yet, well, you can just reduce the frequency for that week and only train that muscle group once that week and give it more time to recover and get to it again next week. So the fact that we can either train every muscle group or every movement pattern once or twice per week is good for loading anytime we may want to do really heavy loads, do strength training or powerlifting, and may get more fatigued and need more than 72 hours recovery, we can get it. But generally 72 hours should be ideal for even heavy loads. So you should be able to do even heavy strength training twice a week for every muscle group with this split. So it is also optimal for the loading. Now when it comes to volume implications, again, being able to spread out your weekly volume to 2 sessions per muscle group per week is good volume allocation. So you're going to find that that is much less overwhelming and fatiguing and inflammatory than piling on so much volume to every muscle group just once per week. So again, that's another pro. When it comes to the pros or cons for this, I would say that everything about it, how the muscles are anatomically grouped together, the frequency implications, the loading implications, the volume implications are all pros. However, it is of course not without its cons. Let's circle back to the frequency and think about how sustainable it would be to work out 6 days a week in order to get the optimal frequency for training each muscle group per week with this split. Well, I would think that training for 6 or 5 days per week would not be sustainable over a long period of time. I think you'd be able to do it for a month, maybe 2 if a lot of those weeks are 5-day weeks. But then again, since it doesn't seem very sustainable, are you going to be skipping days often? I think that when it comes to the frequency, while the frequency is more optimal than the other two, it's not as optimal as it could possibly be. So the frequency is a relative pro compared to the last two, but it is not the best. Another thing is that when you are splitting up your muscle groups, this specifically, when are you going to do your biggest compound lifts like deadlift? Deadlift is both a back and a leg exercise. Do you put it on the pull day or the leg day? And then there's the complication of when to work the side delts. You're taking care of your front delt by doing pushing and your rear delt by doing pulling. Well, when are you going to do your side lateral raises? So there's still some complications and controversies and issues that can arise with this kind of split because of how specific it is. So while it has a lot of pros, it's not without its cons. There's some trade-offs there, like there are with many things. However, I would say that it has significantly more pros than than cons. And especially when using this in the optimal ways, that the pros far outweigh the cons. There are many pros and few cons. You just will probably find that it's not very sustainable, and there are some complications and issues that can arise. However, it is what I would call, in my professional opinion, a very good, beneficial split that I do recommend.